Perfect. Here's my audience for everybody. Go ahead and say hello again, everybody. Sorry about that.
Hello.
Sweet. Thank you, guys. Here is waters for the audience. Granola bars for the audience. Along with my fake plants and my other visual aids. All right. Sweet. So, hello everyone. My name is Dylan Dahl, and today I'm going to be doing a speech on effective leadership and effective communication and how these two both coincide. So my purpose of this speech is basically to inform my audience of effective leadership and communication practices and define what makes an effective leader and communicator. Have you ever watched a football or basketball game or played a video game with a friend? These people use effective leadership and communication skills to win games or complete the objective. It is vital that you must communicate effectively with your teammates in order to win or complete a task. So today I'm going to be talking to you about what makes an effective leader, an effective communicator, and how those two work together. I'll also be using examples that are relevant to me in my own personal life. So sometimes even the strongest communicators can be misunderstood. With today's tips and tricks, hopefully you can become more confident in your own leadership and communication skills. So first, let's talk about and define effective leadership and what it means to be an effective leader. So, effective leadership. What is effective leadership? We define leadership as a social process that enables individuals to work together to achieve results that they could never achieve working alone. So doing things together that we couldn't really achieve otherwise. So, to be an effective leader, you need certain characteristics. So these characteristics include being a good listener, being open to innovation, being able to work well with teams, be good at facilitating change, being appreciative of diversity, and being honest and ethical. You should also be able to show others you are capable of being a leader. So do that by staying engaged, demonstrating competence, being assertive and not aggressive, and providing solutions in a time of crisis. So good leaders practice or perform what is known as transformational leadership, which is defined by a leader's devotion to helping teams fulfill their potential. Transformational leaders believe people want to make a difference, and that empowerment is essential, mission is the driving force, and that transparency is key. So my personal example for this would be, so I won a state championship in football. And I believe it was due to the leadership of our coaches. We had a coach, his name was Terry Graham. He was actually the coach of my father's football team, and they were very close to winning a state championship, but they were never able to. And he ended up coming back like 10, 15 years later when I was in high school, and we ended up winning a state championship. And I believe it's because of our coaches, because before that we were doing really, really poor. All right. Secondly, let's talk about what makes an effective communicator and what is effective communication. What is effective communication? So effective communication is the ability to have a conversation with another person in an engaging way that is focused, consistent, and offers value. Or as our text says, it's the process of creating meaning through symbolic interaction. So when communicating with other people, the big thing that I like to think of is that communication is basically a process. It's something that you have to do every day. Most people think about communication as if it occurs in like a discrete individual acts, like telling a joke or asking for a raise. But communication is actually a continuous, ongoing process. Your responses will most likely depend on a host of considerations, such as all sorts of things, such as age, height, weight, all sort of like what you like, what you don't like, all that kind of stuff. Communication is relational. Communication isn't something you do to others. Rather, it is something you do with them. Our success depends on our interaction with others, and communication depends on the involvement of the partner. So nobody really wants, you never want to talk to somebody that isn't going to interact with you and just ignores you. You know what I mean? You want somebody that's going to be there and connected with you and like levels with you and realizes what you're saying. You have to also realize that communication is symbolic. Words are symbols in that they represent people, things, ideas, and events, making it possible for us to communicate about them and like things and what's going on around us. People are most likely to understand each other if they interpret symbols in the same way, but also conflicts can arise when people attach different meanings to different symbols, as we know in today's society. One of the biggest uses of like effective communication and stuff like that is to limit or like totally block out noise. And what noise is it's a broad category that includes any force that interferes with the accurate reception of a message. So there's 3 types of noise that can disrupt communication, which is external, physiological, and psychological. So those basically in your head, around you, or physiological, so just like internal things. Some relative definitions. So interpersonal communication involves communicating with oneself, while dyadic communication is used to describe 2 other people interacting. There's many kinds of communication, such as small group communication, organizational communication, public communication, mass communication, and social media communication. All of which are some things that we do in our daily life, and some people don't, you know what I mean? A lot of people partake in social media nowadays, so even just leaving a comment, that counts as social media communication. So a personal example for me and what communication is to me and how I use it. I play a lot of video games. So what I like to do is I like to communicate, which you guys have seen already on showing through my audience. That's what I'm doing right now is Discord. But I like to wear headphones and I like to communicate with my friends while we're playing games, such as games like Valorant or League of Legends or anything like that. And without communication, we don't win. It's plain and simple. You're not going to win. You're not going to be as effective, and you're not going to do as well. And your friends most likely won't want to play with you again. All right, so lastly, I'd like to talk about how a good communicator makes a good leader. So how do you use effective communication and effective leadership? So I believe this all comes down to communication competence, which involves achieving one's goals in a manner that ideally maintains or enhances the relationship in which it occurs. Everyone gets something out of something, and achieving a goal, honestly, even better. A lot of communication competence has to do with that there is no ideal way to communicate. There's so many different kinds of peoples, politics, religions, all sorts of ways of thinking out there. There's many kinds of competent communicators. Some can be serious while some can be lighthearted. Find the approach that works best for you. I mean, there is technically no right or wrong, but it also just depends on a host of factors. Competence is situational because competent behavior varies from one situation and person to another. It's a mistake to think people are either great communicators or they aren't. It's more accurate to talk about like degrees or area of competence, like you're good in like public speaking versus you're good at talking to your friends in private versus say like public speaking. Most people aren't very good at public speaking. It's kind of hard. Competence is also relational, which because communication is transactional, it's something that we do with others rather than to them. It's behavior that is competent in one relationship or culture won't necessarily succeed in others. So some things that are totally acceptable in your culture may not be acceptable in other people's cultures. And sometimes that's a hard thing to figure out. You got to talk to people. Competent communicators and leaders are empathetic and empathic. So you have the best chance of developing an effective message when you understand the other person's point of view. Basically just being in their shoes, like the grass, like going to the grass on their side, understanding what they're going through, how they're going through, just, level with people, Competence can be learned and it requires hard work. Communication skills are one of the hardest things that people can do, but it's one of the things that we do every single day of our lives, and it's what we have to do. And lastly, you have to self-monitor. Self-monitoring to describe the process of paying close attention to one's own behavior and using these observations to make effective choices. Check yourself. Make sure you don't offend people. Make sure that you're behaving in a sociable manner and that you're polite and courteous to those around you. A competent and effective communicator is a competent and effective leader. My personal example for this would be Lord of the Rings, and this has meant so much to me because without leadership and communication skills, Sauron and the One Ring would never have been destroyed. All right. I think that's it for me. Thank you all for watching. I had a hard time deciding what to do for my visual aids, but I hope I nailed it. I also missed it on the first one. I meant to show my Letterman jacket for my leadership thing, but I didn't show it because I totally forgot and I was kind of nervous about this. But I also have pictures of me winning a state championship due to leadership skills right there. So thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing all your topics and videos. Say goodbye, audience.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.